Okay, so now the goal is to find out who will be the lucky companies that get our developers. It's very important to know what is the target before you do any business. And it's a lot of research, of course. So I want to show you the tools that I use and the top 1% uses to get research done in matter of minutes instead of hours, days, and even weeks. So I have these three tools that I will show you on a demo. We have Claude Code, which is basically an assistant that helps me organize everything. NotebookLM, which is which gather sources but also create reports, videos, audios, and everything. And we have Perplexity, which is basically a ChatGPT boosted in internet research. So the first step for me is to start with NotebookLM. Why? Because frankly, I don't know what is a good niche, what are the criteria. So what I want to is to ask for NotebookLM. We create a book right here, and we can do a lot of research like Perplexity. Basically, we can say, for example, how to have a good niche in business. Okay, a simple thing. By the way, there is also these tools that I use, which is WhisperFlow. So I don't have to type anything. We know that when you have to write prompts for hours, typing is very long, so you can just touch a key and you say anything and it will be written in any language, English, French, Arabic, anything. So I can do, for example, the research about that. I can even add video, YouTube videos, websites, import my own files, all right, and yeah, it's already imported. Okay, so I can do so videos. I can create podcasts. I can create presentation, infographic, quizzes, anything. Okay, I can even create a report that I can then put to. Let me show you how it does look like a presentation based on all the sources that I made here, that I put here. Okay, it's very nice. Okay, so if you want to learn about frankly anything very quickly, I think NotebookLM is the one to go. So now that we have our information, we want to go to Claude Code. Okay, Claude Code is, again, it's like ChatGPT, but the difference is it's connected to your files, all your folders in your computer, and it can not only read, it can write. So for example, all these files and folders that are in my business are all written by Claude Code. Okay, I didn't write anything myself. So in the niche part, we have the data about what makes a good niche and what are the questions that my niche needs to answer to make sure that it answers them. Okay, and based on that, I can then ask Claude Code to write me a prompt to do research. I can start brainstorming, of course, but Claude Code have only the information about what makes a good niche. It doesn't have what data about the market, about everything. So that's when Perplexity enters. Of course, I could use NotebookLM, but I feel like it's a personal feeling that Perplexity goes deeper into research. So I want to create a prompt, for example, say, okay, look at the folder niche and all the information about what makes a good niche, what are the checklists and everything, and create a prompt for Perplexity. So, for example, when it will create this prompt, it's different because I could go myself to Perplexity and say, do research about what is the best niche for my for example, company that provide developers to high quality developers to European, Gulf countries, USA, and everything. I could write that, okay? But the thing is, we need to add way more details so that Perplexity can know what he's searching. Okay, so the result of that is basically this. Okay, so that's what Claude Code write me. Okay, and you can see all the question that NotebookLM advises on what to ask to confirm this niche or not, the quality of this niche. Myself, I have two theories. Okay, so I have 4 candidates that went with 2 that I already eliminated. So you have small startup, big clients, big IT companies, IT agencies. Okay, so small startup is basically the companies that have IT project and they are scaling up. Okay, they get a lot of funding and they just need to grow their team and develop their project. So that's a possible target. The big clients is of course the big companies that have big mobile apps like Instagram, Meta, Uber and everything. And we have big IT companies. So basically this is large companies that have hundreds, thousands developers, and they just provide them to big companies. And we have the IT agencies, which is a big IT company but smaller with only 10, 15, 50, 100 developers. So I already eliminated these 2 because we are way too small yet to target them. They will not be interested yet, and same for the big clients. So the competition is between small startup and IT agencies. But I have a feeling that I know which one will win. But I want to do it based on real facts. So we go back to Perplexity and we mention these 2 candidates right here. Okay, and then we just have to let Perplexity do its magic. Okay, so it will compare the 2 niches based on all the criteria. Okay, based on all the research that it did. Basically this is something that you would pay someone thousands to do, and it would take weeks. And basically Perplexity does it in under 3 minutes, and depending on your subscription it's sometimes free. So the result is right here, a summary, where the niche of the scale up, the startup, wins only on 1 criteria, and the niche B agencies win in 9 criteria, which was my guess, because the startups are too much unpredictable. From a startup A to a startup B, it will not be the same project, the same owner, the same skills required and everything. So it's not a good niche when you don't know, you cannot anticipate what would be its need. And so now that I have the type of the company and what it does, I can target the location. Okay, so we have multiple candidates for the IT agencies. We have, of course, USA. We have also UK. I know that we have in France because I worked there for 10 years, and but the problem is it's less common that they accept developers that only speak English. We have Germany, we have the Gulf region, of course, we have Qatar, Saudi. So I also have my guesses, but again, I want facts. So what I do is I take the complete result about the niche. I can download it into MD file, which is good for Claude Code, and I can go back here to tell him I put all the research here, the finances, the comparison, the criteria and everything. So everything is here, so that I can just ask Claude Code, okay, what do you think about it? You can chat with him. Okay, let me show you how it answers, basically just like that. So you see here, it's just looking at the files and doing all its commands and speaking to you like with ChatGPT. It's basically a chat right here. Okay, and you can say, okay, please look at, and then you can select the file, the folder and everything, and then create a prompt for a second research on Perplexity about the location. What would be the best depending on the opportunities, the volume, the budget that they have. These are very important criteria. These 3 are very important criteria for a good niche. And I can just write here, it will read the niche, and then it can brainstorm You can ask him to ask you question. For example, if for example it's also a personal thing when you do business. So basically you can also tell him, okay, ask me a question about what I feel, what is interesting for me. Because for example, personally, I would prefer, it would be my dream to provide developers to Gulf countries. So I have like a personal tweaks on that part. If the difference is very big between Gulf and Europe, okay, that's okay. But if the difference is small, the personal thing could matter a lot. Okay, so it can research and everything, and I will pass you all the details. I already did it. So it created this prompt. Okay, again, background, the niche, the location and everything, geography. Okay, and in the end, if you go in the end with all reports, it will tell you that the best are these. Okay, so Netherlands, which I didn't expect, frankly. UK, I expected that, and Qatar and Saudi, because I told him that it's a bit personal in that part. So it compared them in multiple things, if they accept remote developers, the pressure, the legal friction, the expectation, and we have also other criteria right here. But based on that, you can download the results, or you can follow up. You can download the result and put them in Claude Code, so that it can, in the end, mix everything, and just so that you can create a PDF with everything to know about your niche. If it passes all the criteria, all the data about this basically was designed and generated by Claude Code also. So that's the thing, we can do almost everything. And yes, there is also one thing to know. You can use MCPs, okay, in Claude Code. Okay, like here I have Perplexity connected, meaning that I don't need to ask him to generate a prompt and then put it myself in Perplexity. I can directly ask Claude Code to do the research, gather the result, and map everything. But yeah, you can connect Claude Code to multiple things, like technical stuff, marketing tools. You can just check every time you want, for example, to know, for example, if there is LinkedIn MCP, for example, you can check and you can see that there actually is. So this, you can see what are the powers. You just connect them to Call Cloud and you use them. Okay, you can see what are the powers and you can do it. So yeah, in the end, the result is that we will target for now Netherlands and UK. Congratulations.